You already know what you're not doing. That's the thing nobody says out loud. You already know. Not in some vague philosophical way. Specifically, there's something in your life right now, maybe two things, maybe three, that you are not doing, that you keep almost doing, that you think about, sometimes late at night, or on a drive somewhere, or in one of those quiet moments in the middle of the day, where your mind goes somewhere it's not supposed to go. And you know why you're not doing it. You're not doing it because it scares you, because it might not work. Because what if you try and it turns out you're not actually capable of what you thought you were? And that possibility, that specific quiet fear, is so uncomfortable that you've gotten very good at not looking directly at it. That's where I want to start. Not with motivation, not with some story about someone who overcame the odds. I want to start right there, with that thing you've been not looking at. Because I think that's where the real conversation is. I had a moment, and I remember it pretty clearly. I was maybe in my early 30s, and I was sitting in my car outside a building I was supposed to go into. And I just didn't. I sat there for probably 20 minutes, making excuses that sounded reasonable. Traffic had been bad. I wasn't feeling great. The timing wasn't right. And every single one of those things was technically true, and none of them were the real reason. The real reason was I was scared. Not terrified. Not movie scared. Just that low-grade, chest-tight kind of scared that doesn't feel like fear because it's so familiar. It just feels like Tuesday. I ended up driving home, and I told myself I'd go back next week. And for a while, I believed that. I'm telling you that because I want you to understand that when I talk about this, I'm not talking from somewhere above it. I'm talking from inside it, the same place you're inside it, the same place most people spend their entire lives without ever really examining. Here's something I've been thinking about for a long time, and I don't think I have a perfect way to say it, but I'm going to try. Most of us understand that growth requires discomfort. We've heard that. It's practically a bumper sticker at this point. But understanding it and actually building your life around it, those are almost completely unrelated things. Because knowing that the gym will make you stronger doesn't get you out of bed at 6 in the morning. Knowing that the conversation needs to happen doesn't make your hand pick up the phone. There's this enormous gap, this almost absurd gap, between knowing what needs to happen and actually doing it. And we spend most of our lives living in that gap without calling it what it is. We call it thinking things through. We call it waiting for the right moment. We call it being strategic. And sometimes those things are real. Sometimes you genuinely do need to wait. But mostly, the waiting is just discomfort wearing a costume. And the costume is so convincing that we start to believe it ourselves. Think about this. Think about the version of you from 5 years ago, or 10 years. What did that version of you want? What were you telling yourself you were about to do? Once things settled down a little, once you got your footing, once the time was right. And now you're here, 5, 10 years later. Did the time get right? Did things settle down? Or did you just keep waiting, and the waiting became so normal that you stopped noticing you were doing it? I'm not asking that to make you feel bad. I'm asking it because I think it's the most important question you can sit with. Because the next 5 years are going to go the same way the last 5 went, unless something changes. And what has to change isn't your circumstances. It's not your job, or your city, or the people around you. What has to change is your relationship with the feeling of discomfort. Because right now, if you're honest, that feeling has been running things. Every time you've pulled back, every time you've put something off, every time you've chosen the easier path when there was a harder one that actually led somewhere, that feeling was driving. And you've been sitting in the passenger seat, telling yourself you're in control. There's this thing that happens with comfort. It's gradual. That's what makes it so sneaky. Nobody wakes up one day and decides to stop growing. Nobody makes a conscious choice to live smaller than they're capable of. It just happens. One decision at a time. One avoidance at a time. One tomorrow at a time. You stop going to the thing that scared you a little, and you start going to the thing that doesn't. And that feels like wisdom. Like maturity even. Like you're learning what you're good at. But what you're actually doing, and I say this gently because I've done it too, what you're actually doing is training yourself. You're teaching yourself. over and over, that discomfort is a stop sign, that when something feels hard or scary or uncertain, the right move is to back away. And your brain learns that. It learns it extremely well. It starts to see the world through that lens. Every new situation, every opportunity, every moment that requires some courage, your brain runs the calculation. This is uncomfortable, therefore stop. And by the time you realize what's happened, you've built a life that's almost perfectly designed to keep you from ever having to feel truly uncomfortable again. And it's quiet, and it's fine, and something in you is dying slowly inside of it. I don't know how to say that more gently than that. I want to talk about something that I think is genuinely misunderstood, and it's the idea of being ready. People wait to feel ready. They wait to feel confident before they start. They wait for the fear to go away before they take the step. And what they don't realize, what took me an embarrassingly long time to realize, is that the confidence doesn't come first. It comes after. You don't feel confident and then do the thing. You do the thing, badly, awkwardly, with your hands shaking a little. And on the other side of that, if you're still standing, there's a little more confidence than there was before. That's it. That's the whole mechanism. And it's so ordinary, so undramatic. It doesn't look anything like the stories we tell about successful people. It's just someone doing something before they felt ready, and surviving it, and being slightly less afraid the next time. But the waiting, God, the waiting is seductive, because waiting feels like preparation. It feels responsible, like you're almost there, like the moment is almost right, like you're just gathering one more piece of information, or one more ounce of courage before you go. And a year passes, and you're still waiting. I have to say this, even though it's uncomfortable to say. Maybe especially because it is. There is a version of intelligence that becomes its own trap. I've met people, and you probably have too, people who are genuinely, clearly smart. They can see things. They understand things. They can explain the psychology behind their own patterns in real time while they're repeating the pattern. They've read the books. They understand the theory. They can tell you exactly why they're stuck. And they never move. Because at some point, for some people, thinking about the thing becomes a substitute for doing the thing. The insight feels productive. The analysis feels like progress. And it is progress, of a kind. But it's not the kind that changes anything, not by itself. Understanding why you're afraid of failure is not the same as failing and getting back up. Understanding why you procrastinate is not the same as sitting down and doing the work. You can understand everything and still be exactly where you are right now. The understanding has to lead somewhere, and where it has to lead is action. Messy, imperfect, uncomfortable action. Not later. Not after one more thing clicks into place. Can I ask you something? And I mean this honestly, not rhetorically. When is the last time you did something that genuinely scared you? Not a little outside your comfort zone. Not slightly inconvenient. I mean something that made your heart beat faster. Something that felt like real risk. Something that you might fail at, in a way that other people could see. If you have to think about it for too long, that's your answer. Because here's what I know about the people who are building things, who are actually making things happen in their lives. They're not fearless. They're not some different species. They have the same doubts, the same bad days, the same 3 a.m. moments where everything feels like too much. The difference is, they've made a kind of deal with themselves. The deal is, I am going to do the uncomfortable thing anyway. Not because I want to, not because I'm not scared, but because I've decided that where I'm going matters more than how I feel right now. That deal, made consistently over time, that's what changes a life. I want to talk about failure for a second. Actually talk about it, not in the failure is just a stepping stone way that sounds good but doesn't actually help anybody. Failure is uncomfortable. That's just true. It's embarrassing sometimes. It's discouraging sometimes. It costs you things. Time, money, energy, pride. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend those costs aren't real, because they are. But here's what failure is not. It's not evidence that you were wrong to try. It's not confirmation that the voice in your head that said you couldn't do it was right. It's not a sign to stop. It's just information. Uncomfortable? expensive, humbling information, but information. And the people who end up building anything at all worth having, they collect that information differently. They're not happy about failing. They're not secretly grateful for the experience in some enlightened way. They're frustrated, like anyone would be. They're tired, sometimes, but they don't let it become the story. They get back up, and they adjust, and they try again, and at some point the information they collected from all those failures becomes the thing that actually lets them get it right. And the people who never failed, who played it safe, who stayed in the lane where nothing too uncomfortable could happen, they're still waiting for the right moment. There's a specific kind of pain I want you to think about. It's not dramatic pain. It's the kind of pain that's so quiet, you can almost convince yourself it's not there. It's the pain of knowing what you're capable of and consistently choosing not to use it. Some of you know exactly what I mean. You have a sense, not arrogance, just a genuine sense of what you could do if you actually applied yourself, if you actually stopped holding back, if you actually committed to the thing instead of keeping it at arm's length so it can't fully disappoint you. And you haven't done it. And the reason you haven't done it isn't that you can't. It's that you're protecting yourself from the possibility of finding out that you can't. Because if you never really try, you never really fail. And if you never really fail, you get to keep the story intact. The story that says you're capable of more. You just haven't gotten around to it yet. That story is comfortable, and it's slowly hollowing you out. The only thing that breaks it is trying. For real, with real stakes. Knowing you might fail, choosing to try anyway. I think about what it actually looks like, the moment things start to change for someone, and it's almost never what you'd imagine. It's not some big speech they gave themselves. It's not hitting absolute rock bottom and having an epiphany. Most of the time, it's just a moment. An ordinary, undramatic moment, where something inside them stops negotiating, where the voice that usually says, "Yeah, but," goes quiet long enough for them to take a step. And they take the step, not gracefully, probably not even successfully the first time, but they take it. And then another one. And the thing that changes isn't that the steps get easier, necessarily. The thing that changes is that they stop expecting them to be easy. They stop treating the difficulty as a signal that something's wrong, and they start treating it as just part of it, just the cost of going anywhere worth going. That shift, that quiet, almost imperceptible shift, that's where everything actually begins. I want to be honest with you about something. This conversation, what I'm saying to you right now, it's not going to be enough. Not by itself. You can feel everything I'm saying. You can agree with every word of it. You can feel that tightness in your chest that means something landed. And then the video ends, and life comes back in, and the discomfort of your actual situation reasserts itself. And by tomorrow morning, a lot of this will have faded back into the noise. That's just how it works. That's not a failure of will. That's just human. So the question isn't whether this conversation changed something. The question is what you do in the next 24 hours. Specifically, concretely, not in general, not in some future version of your life. Right now, in the next day. Because there is something. There's always something. One call you keep not making. One thing you keep saying you'll start. One conversation you keep postponing. One decision you've been letting sit there while you wait for it to feel less scary. That's the thing. That's the one. And what I want you to consider, not as a motivational exercise, but as a genuine question, is what your life looks like if you keep not doing it. Another 6 months, another year, another 5 years of knowing what you should be doing and finding sophisticated reasons not to do it. Is that the life you want? Because that's where this road goes if you stay on it. The thing about discomfort is that it doesn't actually get smaller when you avoid it. That's the lie we tell ourselves. That if we just wait long enough, it'll be easier. The conversation will be easier. The attempt will feel less risky. The step will feel less terrifying. But it doesn't work that way. The thing you're avoiding grows. It takes up more space in your mind, not less. It becomes more charged, not less. And by the time you finally face it, if you finally face it, it's carrying the weight of all those months or years you spent not facing it. Whereas the person who just did it back when it first scared them, they've moved on. They've built on top of it. They're already 3 steps further down the road, and you're still standing at the beginning, now carrying extra weight you didn't need to carry. I know that's a hard picture to sit with, but I'd rather give you the hard picture than the comfortable one, because you get enough comfortable pictures. What you need is the true one. So what does this actually look like? To get comfortable with discomfort, what does that mean in a real life, not a concept? It means you stop waiting to feel ready, and you start before you do. It means you make the call when your hands want to put the phone down. It means you have the conversation, even when your voice isn't quite steady. It means you show up to the thing you've been making excuses about, even though you're not sure how it'll go. It means you let people see you try, really try, even knowing they might see you fall short. Not because it stops being uncomfortable, but because you've decided that the discomfort of growing is better than the discomfort of staying still, and at least one of those discomforts leads somewhere. That's not a one-time decision, it's a daily one, sometimes an hourly one. Every time the familiar pull backward starts, every time your brain starts running its calculations about why this is too much, or too risky, or why now is not quite the right time, that's the moment. That's where the choice lives. And you will make it wrong sometimes. You'll pull back when you should push forward. You'll choose the comfortable thing and feel the quiet sting of it afterward. That's going to happen. That's not failure. That's just the process, being honest with you. What matters is what you do the next time the moment comes. A year from right now, you are going to be somewhere. A different job or the same one. A different version of a relationship or the same one. Closer to what you actually want for your life, or further from it. Slightly more the person you want to be, or slightly less. And the thing that determines which of those it is, more than talent, more than luck, more than circumstance, is whether you were willing to be uncomfortable. That's it. That's the whole calculation. Were you willing to feel the fear and do it anyway? Were you willing to look stupid in the short term to build something that matters in the long term? Were you willing to be the person who tried when the comfortable thing was to not try? Nobody is going to answer that for you. Nobody is going to make it easier, or clear the path, or guarantee the outcome. That's not how it works. But here's what I know. The discomfort that's waiting for you on the other side of the thing you've been avoiding, it's survivable. It might even be smaller than you think. And on the other side of it is a version of yourself that's a little harder to rattle, a little more sure of what they can handle. That version of you is worth the discomfort it takes to get there. You already know what to do. The question has always been whether you were going to do it. There's something I haven't said yet, and I want to say it carefully because I think it gets misunderstood. Getting comfortable with discomfort doesn't mean becoming numb to it. It doesn't mean turning yourself into someone who doesn't feel the fear or the resistance or the weight of things. Because if you do that, if you just grind yourself down until nothing gets to you, what you've actually done is made yourself smaller in a different way. You've cut off the parts of yourself that feel things, and those parts are connected to everything else, to the things that make you care, to the reason you wanted the thing in the first place. What it actually means is different from that. It means developing a relationship with discomfort where it's no longer the final word, where it's not the thing that ends the conversation, where you can feel it, all of it, the fear and the uncertainty and the exhaustion, and still keep moving, not without feeling it, through it, while feeling it. That distinction matters more than most people realize, because the goal isn't to become a person who doesn't feel afraid. The goal is to become a person whose fear doesn't stop them. I think a lot about what we pass on, not in terms of money or possessions, but in terms of how we show up, how we handle hard things, what we model for the people around us, whether that's our kids or our friends, or just the people who are watching in ways we don't even know. Because here's the thing, people are watching, they always are, not in a paranoid way, just in the ordinary human way where the people around us learn from how we live, not from what we say. And when you consistently choose comfort over growth, when you consistently pull back instead of pushing forward, the message that sends, even without words, is that hard things are too hard. That risk isn't worth it, that the safe choice is always the right choice. And that matters, not just for you, but when you do the other thing, when you take the step, when you have the conversation even though your voice shakes a little. When you try the thing and fail and get back up and try again, that sends a different message. To the people around you, yes, but more importantly to yourself. It says, I am someone who does hard things. And once you start believing that, once there's real evidence for it, it changes what you reach for. It changes what you think you deserve. It changes the whole frame of how you see your own life. One more thing, and this is maybe the most important one, even though it's the simplest. Don't wait for some perfect moment of clarity to start. Don't wait until you've figured out exactly the right way to approach it. Don't wait until you feel equipped enough, rested enough, ready enough. You're not going to feel ready. That feeling never comes. Or it comes for about 30 seconds, and then it's gone and replaced by doubt again. Readiness is not a stable feeling. It's just a moment that passes. What you can have, what's actually available to you right now, not later, is a decision. A clear, honest, no more excuses decision that you are going to stop managing your discomfort and start moving through it. That decision doesn't require good timing. It doesn't require ideal circumstances. It doesn't even require confidence. It just requires the honest acknowledgement that the way you've been doing this isn't working, and the willingness to try something different, something harder, something that costs you the comfort you've been protecting. And then, after the decision, not before, you take the first step. Whatever that step is for you specifically, in your actual life, with your actual situation. Just the first one. Not all of them, just the first one. Because here is what I've seen, again and again. The first step is almost always the hardest. Not because it's the most technically difficult, but because it's the one you have to take without any evidence yet that it'll work. It's the one that requires pure faith in the direction over proof of the destination. After that first step, there's something to build on. There's momentum, even if it's small. There's evidence, even if it's slight. But before the first step, there's nothing. Just the choice. And the choice is yours. Entirely, completely, right now, yours. You came to this conversation for a reason. Maybe you knew exactly what it was. Maybe it was just a feeling that something needed to shift and you weren't sure what. Either way, I think some part of you already knew what we'd end up talking about. That thing you've been not looking at directly. That version of your life that feels further away than it used to. That quiet, persistent sense that you've been capable of more than you've been living. That's not a fantasy. That's not wishful thinking. That's your actual life trying to get your attention. And all it's asking, the only thing it's ever been asking, is for you to be willing to be uncomfortable enough to go get it. Not fearlessly, not perfectly, not with a guarantee, just with enough honesty to stop pretending the comfortable path was ever going to take you there. You know what you need to do. Go do it.